Well, now let's talk about the CD. And I'm sure since you've been in town, you've seen how the extent to which the CD has been battered. Now, what do you think is happening this time around? Because even Guta came to ask, what is the problem? What do you think is happening?
So I think I'm probably not the most qualified to discuss it or diagnose the root causes. But a couple of them come to mind, and I think many financial analysts agree. The most proximate cause of this is the failure of government to achieve its debt restructuring with its foreign partners, those who hold the foreign component of our debt. If you recall, barely a couple of weeks ago, they declined the restructuring that the government went and put before them, which meant they were going to have some haircuts. And I recall on this program making clear that the way government was going with all those kind of haircuts, you could impose it on those vulnerable ones who had no power in Ghana, but you could not impose it on our foreign partners or foreign debt holders of Ghanaian debt. And that's exactly what has come to pass. They literally refused to go along with it. And of course, our IMF program, which effectively linked the release of the next tranche of our money, $360 million, I believe, was pretty much hinged on that. If you recall, the first one, we got the first tranche. Second tranche, we couldn't quite get that agreement. We're work in progress. And the IMF made some exemptions and still released it. Third one due, I know the IMF has said they will now release it. But again, the failure to secure that debt restructuring deal has meant that people have got concerns about our debt sustainability. Already we are in severe debt distress. We can't pay our debts, and we haven't paid our debts for quite a while. I believe effectively since December 2021, when we suspended debt payments or servicing coupons on our bonds and stuff like that. So that's one of the proximate causes. The other one is, in fact, this same IMF deal, which was supposed to, if you like, make it easier for us, in a certain sense, has also contributed to the woes of the city. Because you look at the deal, and it enjoined the Bank of Ghana to try and maintain at least 3 months import cover, which meant that the Bank of Ghana had to keep more foreign currency, if you like, dollars in this case, to be able to cover 3 months of imports. What it then meant is that the Bank of Ghana could not then go on, if you like, a spending spree to support the city. And so whenever there was, it couldn't be releasing dollars willy-nilly. I know in the last couple of days, they tried to stabilize the city by releasing a total of almost $69 million. But they don't have the firepower. We're already broke. If you notice, the banned government, they did that kind of exercise in 2022, 23, and that led to the massive 80 billion city losses that they incurred. So government of Ghana in itself has no hand in this issue now. We are literally... The government of Ghana is stranded, for want of a better word. Bank of Ghana hasn't got the capacity to be able to support the city. And what is making it worse is that the international community is looking on us, and they are concerned about our debt, if you like, debt sustainability or ability to pay our debts. But then the other issue is this, and this is back to the home economics. Barely a few weeks ago, it was 17.2. It was not 18. Let's say I'm coming from the UK. Assume that I was importing from the UK as a businessman and I had to buy the pound. Before I landed, it was about 17. It's now 18.1 as of this morning. If I look into the trajectory, I see that we'll be hitting 20 before the end of this month. And I need to pay some products, pay for some invoices in sterling. What will I do? I'll try and buy it now. So everybody is rushing to get it now because you know tomorrow it's literally increasing, or the city is depreciating by the hour. So as everybody is now rushing because there is no confidence that there will be dollars. And that's why the Bank of Ghana had to try and release about $69 million to try and stabilize things. But that's not enough. Because of the lack of confidence by even we, the citizens, those important, we're all having to rush now to try and get it before it goes up. Because I would rather buy it at 18 than buy it at 20 next week. And that is even exacerbating the woes of the city. But at the heart of this is misgovernance. At the heart of this is the fact that we have a serious debt overhang, and that debt is serviced in dollars. Even the little we pay as we pay now has to be converted into dollars. So there's a huge demand of it for it. The other element of it is, you see, inflation is not helping. Because once inflation is at 25% now, it's pushing through to the prices of goods and services. And the depreciation of the cedi is actually making inflation worse, and it becomes a cyclical thing. The point where the government doesn't seem to be interested in taking the decisions. We should have engaged in some form of fiscal if you like, consolidation, retrenchment, and not the kind of expansionist, continuously splurging and spending. The way to manage our debt is not to go asking for debt forgiveness and giving people haircuts. It's to take a good and cold hard look at government expenditure and slash frivolous government expenditure. We are still seeing money being spent left, right, and center. We are seeing 100 million, 1 billion a year being spent on SML. To what end? For what? To assure revenue that you don't even have? And that straight away, because government is bloated, you are spending more. The tax revenue is not coming. You have to borrow more. We are mopping up all liquidity in the system by continuously going to banks. Now it's like treasury bills is the only way government can borrow because we shut out of the international market. So we are gobbling up whatever we can. And as we gobble that, it's all to satisfy a bloated government that is going directly into the pockets of a few. If we had cut our expenditure down, we wouldn't need the amount of debt restructuring that needs to go on. In fact, our external partners would have seen that we are also taking some pain, and therefore they'll be prepared to take a haircut. If I owe you, and I say I want to continue feasting on caviar and chicken, but then you should forgive my debt, how would you feel about it? And so if you look at it, our problems didn't start today, and it's getting worse, and it will get worse if government doesn't change that. Trust you me, if government today were to establish that we know we are in a financial crisis, an economic crisis, government is going to take a cold, hard look at non-essential expenditure and slash them, and only make sure we run a lean government, even the number of ministers. We will be reducing our debt because we are paying salaries on debt.
But they insist they've been cutting expenditure.
Well,
you've heard them in the budget, ahead of the budget. The vice president said they are cutting expenditure. They keep saying that. Are you saying that's not even close to what they need to do?
Nowhere near. Nowhere near. And the truth of the matter is, you see, if government cuts expenditure, it means government borrows less. Because at the moment, we're literally running on borrowing. Okay. Many institutions, their salaries are paid on borrowing.
Okay.
If you were to cut expenditure and keep only essential expenditure, you will not have to borrow, which means your debt stock will stay. And once your debt stock stays, as you service it, it reduces. Okay. That shows that you are in a positive trajectory. And the financial markets will see that you are doing something serious about it. Okay. Confidence in the city and in the economy will come. But the greatest issue we have now is confidence in the city. That's why it's depreciating, because there's no confidence from the external partners, so they are not going to engage in any debt restructuring, at least not in the way we want it. You and I have no confidence in it. If someone gives you $1 now versus 15 CD, or even say, I'll give you 20 CD or $1, you choose $1. Because even though the $1 now is worth about 15 CD, 14, 15 CD, you know that give it 1 week, it will hit that 20, thereabout. So you rather have what solace in that $1. We can get confidence in the CD if we know that our government is not going to overborrow and therefore the government is competing with private businesses for dollars. Okay. To do what? To go and service debt that didn't need to be there because of a bloated government. So the basics that we need to do, we are pretending. We have closed our eyes like the proverbial ostrich, put our heads in the sand and pretended we do not exist. That debt overhang has to be addressed. If the debt overhang is addressed, it means that our debt stock is stable. We stop borrowing to pay expenditure by cutting non-essential expenditure so that what we have only goes that's for the essential one. Free up the space for the private sector to use the credit facilities available to grow and create jobs. Not go and be collecting it through treasury bills and paying fat salaries and fueling V8s for ministers who are on the road to nowhere. So for me, government has to restore confidence in the city, and that confidence in the city will start by tightening their belts. Government hasn't tightened its belt, so why would you and I tighten the belt? We don't have confidence in government when it comes to managing the city, so we're all changing our cities. We go to Abuja and change our cities to dollars and keep it under our belts because we know we are retaining currency. Government has a lot of work to do. The sad part is we're in an election year. Even the NPP themselves are dealing in dollars. Money is splashing left, right, and center. When there's too much of something, the value of it collapses. So when you have too much cities chasing very little production, you know where that is going. Meanwhile, the dollar is still the dollar. And so for me, our problems, I said to somebody the other day that it was 15 to the pound. 3 inaugurations away when we're inaugurating, I believe, Bristol branch. And I bet somebody, do you want to bet me that before the end of this month, we'll be hitting 20 to the pound? Today, we are at 19 in some places because we don't have confidence in it. It's not just us. Governments, external debt partners have no confidence. You and I have no confidence. Even the minister himself has no confidence in it. We need to restore those confidence. It means the hard measures that need to be taken. Cuts our quota.
What's the essence of an IMF program? Because if I recall carefully, when they were in opposition,
Yeah.
one of the criticism of the IMF program that former President John Mahama went under was that it was going to create difficulties because difficult decisions were going to be made.
Good.
That there was a lot of discipline was going to be demanded. And rarely does the CD act in this way under an IMF program. What is different about this program that, because it was everybody expected, oh, as for now that they have the IMF, they can't do anything anyhow.
Yeah.
But you're suggesting that they haven't changed.
Indiscipline is a problem. Fiscal indiscipline. The difference is under President Mohammed's extended credit facility program, and it reaped benefits. If you look at the trajectory of it, what it said would happen if we followed it, you would see that the CD was relatively stabilized and growth went up and inflation stabilized downwards to about 15 when we were leaving. The reverse is the case. In fact, we diligently followed the dictates, or if you like, the requirements of the program.
Okay.
Look at this program. We have violated it time and time again. We were not qualified for it. The IMF went out on a limb and said, we'll give it to you by grace and hope that it will incentivize you to work. But the second tranche, we were still not qualified. We are still not met the criteria. So they yet again made another exemption for us. This third tranche, we were to secure a debt restructuring. We have still not secured it. And the IMF is saying, no, don't worry, you've not secured, we're going to give it to you. The problem here we have is, you go to the hospital, you get prescribed the medicine. We celebrate and say, if you stick to this, taking these tablets twice daily, one tablet in the morning, one in the evening, you'll be fine. We have then come home, we take one every week instead of two every day. And sometimes the one that we're supposed to take, we get the water with the tablet, we drink the water and throw the tablet away. We think we are tricking the doctor. We will not get healed because we are not taking the medication.
But has the IMF, based on your own analysis, have they also then not become an enabler rather than those who are supposed to ensure that we do those hard things and get it done?
That is the problem. You see, the IMF, to a certain extent, is a diplomatic institution. They always, you notice what happens when you have a government in power and even you are misbehaving, they will be doing you, crocroying you. The moment you are out, they'll write a nasty letter to your incoming government telling you that you were sankwas. You remember the letter President Mills got? They were applauding President Kufuor. Yeah. The moment he left, we got a letter in January 2009 telling us that all hell broke loose. There's nothing that is good. You need to tighten your belt. And so, in a certain sense, the IMF has to also learn to be realistic with us. You've given us a path to follow. We are not. There has to be corrective actions. And I know what the IMF doesn't want is for rampant poverty. But since we've had this IMF program, we've had over 800,000 more people go into poverty. Even their own analysis says that the international poverty rate has gone up by 4%. Over the last year. So it means that the plan is good and we are back to Baumia's policies. This is where we have a sound plan of how to get out of the woods. But we are not following the plan. So we are still going around the woods, hugging the trees, instead of walking on that path that will lead us out of these woods. Until we take the action that needs to be taken, I'm afraid we will still be stuck in those woods with Snow White and his 7 dwarfs. We are not going to be getting out of it anytime soon. And it's all about discipline. The discipline to follow the medication that we ourselves accepted from the IMF. The discipline to make sure we cut down government size. Government size for a country of ours, we don't even need 20 ministers. Because ministers are not implementing bodies. You are supposed to oversee. What we need is an effective and efficient governance delivery mechanism. You don't need 20 ministers. And so that's why I support President Mohammed's call for no more than 50 ministers, substantive and deputies. We need to reduce the cost of governance. But this country, these people are not interested in it. Unfortunately, the MPP, what we're having now is a splurge. You can see monies being given to parliamentary candidates. They are spending profligately. They are not looking at the country. But they themselves know that the mess they are creating is the NDC that's going to come and solve it. What they are doing now, it's now like what, free for all. They're not interested in the IMF. That is the reality. If they were interested in the IMF program, they would have followed it religiously, and you would have seen the signs. The seeds that we have sowed would have started sprouting by now. But those seeds are still buried 6 feet down because nobody wants to make the difference, follow the fiscal discipline, the financial discipline that needs us. Suddenly, you've seen, for political reasons, they are announcing all kinds of recruitment. As our leadership in Parliament said yesterday, every single one of their 275 parliamentary candidates is being given 30 slots, yielding 8,250 vacancies into the security services. Knowing very well that I'm an MPP parliamentary candidate, you give me those 30 slots, I'll put my key members in there, and they're the ones going to be in my constituency overseeing it. And so Techima will happen again. But they're not looking at the implications on what? On government expenditure. They are not interested in how this is negating if you like, cancelling out any good work you need to do with the IMF. So the IMF program, you are not even implementing in a disciplined way, and you are making it worse by engaging in political appointments at this particular stage. Look at the number of parliamentary candidates that are being shoehorned into strategic state institutions, NIB, BOST, and other places. What's the essence of it? With 6 months go to transform those institutions? No. It is clear. It is to pilfer monies from there for pure electoral activity to the detriment of the country. The MPP have long since forgotten about Ghana. All they care about and remember now is they themselves and the man they look at in the mirror or the woman they look at in the mirror. They do not care. And it's high time we, the Ghanaians, realize that these guys have checked out of that saloon and we need to really get them out and get in a government that cares about us.
And this is the point. Now, I'm going to go back to Dr. Bawumia again. He is the vice president of Ghana currently. He's been promising significant cuts, like you're saying, that he will cut expenditure largely. He will reduce the size of government. He's been saying virtually everything that you have been talking about. Why is it that the NDC still insists that he cannot be the alternative? He cannot be the one to be trusted to do those things?
Precisely because of he himself and what he is saying, his conduct. We look at conduct. Your conduct is a function of your utterances and your actions. Okay. The man is here telling us, I am chairman of the Economic Management Committee. I know what is good for this country. So I'm going to cut here, I'm going to cut there, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and to be good for the country. But as we speak now, I have the power as number 2, Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Chairman of the Economic Management Committee. I will do nothing about it. In other words, he's holding us hostage, a gun to our heads to say, I know the solution to your problem. I can do it now, but I won't do it until you promote me to the next level. In other words, he wants us to fail upwards, as we say in management speak. When someone fails, you promote them. Okay. Because you want to avoid the awkward tension or political issues of potentially having to sack them. The reality of the situation is, it is good that what I'm saying is not isolated. He knows it. Even if he has not read it in books, he has been to Zimbabwe. He has seen a collapsed economy over which he appears to have imported into Ghana. But he knows the right thing to do. But he does not have the guts to do it now, either because he does not care or he's too scared to speak truth to power. If the vice president cannot tell the president that, you back me fully, and it's an open secret, at least for this period then, why don't you cut government expenditure? Why don't you slash the size of government so that we can see the shoots of economic growth and development? We can see inflation falling. We can see price stability and see that Ghanaians are happy. Perhaps they might think that we have turned the corner and vote for me. Instead, he's saying, I won't push for it now, but you give me the mandate and I'll do it myself. That is not a courageous leader. Every leader needs a courageous follower. For now, let's assume he's a courageous follower. He should be able to speak power, truth to power. He should be able to speak to the president and say, I agree that the course we are on is wrong. That's why I'm articulating a different path of reducing the size of government and government expenditure. Help the people of this country through that. He shouldn't be coming to us to say to us, I know where we are is wrong. I am part of it. But you give it to me now, and then I will change it. If you are part of the problem, we don't need you trying to solutionize if you cannot. So for me, the fact that he's saying it means he knows that that's the thing that must be done. He's actually supporting the position of the MDC. And therefore, what he should have been doing now is doing his mea culpa. He should have been apologizing to the good people of Ghana. As chairman of economic management team for 8 years, as master theoretician and policy formulator, he should have been telling us that we have failed. I want to go back and recalibrate. So you take it and do it. Not copy whatever the NDC says and says, I cannot do it because I am not president. Give me the steer. If you are driver meet and you need a steer to do what is right, and you can't tell your driver that you are driving the wrong direction, we don't need that. So I agree with his policy options, what he's saying we should do. My discomfort with him is that he's not bold enough to tell President Nana Addo that we must stop where we are heading and turn course. If you are not bold enough to tell people the truth, I'm not confident that when you have to execute the truth, you will execute it. No.
So let's assume, and you always capture the problem so succinctly. So the NDC comes into power, 2025, takes over. To turn around the situation, what does the NDC need to do?
It's going to be a piece of hard work. First and foremost, we must stop the bleeding of the state. As you see now, every single news item every day, you will see one form or the other of revenue leakage or state capture or bleeding of the state financially. That in itself must stop. The appointment system, the size of government will be cut. When the size of government cuts, it means that if you assume that our revenue, all things being equal, let's say at the moment, we are running a deficit. Last year, we ran a deficit of about 5.9% approximately, right? Just about 5%. What it means is that for 100 million or 100 billion of revenue, we spent 105 in expenditure. If we come in and we cut that expenditure, let's say to 80 billion, and the revenue still stays at 100 billion, we have straight away got a surplus of 20 billion that can then be diverted into what? The sectors of the economy that will generate growth. Because at the moment we are gobbling up via governance. The essence of governance is not to spend on yourself, but to deliver fruits to the people of Ghana. So that's one thing. So all those revenue leakages, of course, all those monies that have been taken that belong to the state, we will encourage people in a nice way to bring it back one way or the other. So that will stop. And I believe that, you see, I'll give an example. In the UK, you had Liz Truss, whose 5-week reign as Prime Minister, together with our compatriot Kwesi Kwarteng, who was the Chancellor, they delivered a budget. They didn't even get a chance to implement it. A budget that riled the markets because it was going to borrow heavily for tax exemptions and so on and so forth. Much larger than the almost 400 million in tax exemption our government is proposing. Her own party told her no. Within weeks, she was out. And the moment she was out, the new government came in. They revised the budget. That direction, the markets were calmed. I'm confident that when the NDC comes and President Mahama delivers his first view of we are cutting the size of government, delivers his first budget that shows we are serious about cutting the size of government, we are serious about stopping the leakages and sale of the if you like, the golden eggs of our economy. One, there will be confidence. There's confidence in Ghanaians and there will be goodwill for us to do our work. There will be confidence from the international market. Of course, we shouldn't be in a hurry to go back and continue borrowing for kinky. The NDC has never done that and we won't be doing that. We will not be borrowing $1 billion a year, and that's one of the reasons we are where we are. Just to go and hold kinky parties. It is not worth it. But I'm confident that President Mahama has done it before. We've been through crisis before. The power crisis, we had the Ebola crisis, we had the commodity price crunch. We managed it so well without making noise about it. People didn't even realize it. So I have all the confidence in the abilities of President Mahama and the team that is coming to restore things in the shortest possible time. Trust me, within 6 months, the direction of travel will change. When we turn that bus towards the road of progress and not the current road of destruction, Ghanaians will work with us. The international community will work with us. The cost of governance will come down. The savings we make from there, we will make sure we will invest it into the economy, support the private sector so that more, not the kind of vampire type investments where people come from abroad and collect our monies through the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund to build their own hotels. No. We are looking at investment that will come in to add to, not to take away. So I'm confident about the ability of the NDC to turn this around very quickly, particularly under the leadership of President Mahama.
Well, I have to conclude with you because I need to give away some prizes to my people. But before, to conclude, I think one or two issues. The SNIT matter, the matter of SNIT selling their hotels. I don't know if you read a statement trying to explain away why they are doing that. Does it add up for you?
No, it doesn't. I'll give you one example. You are selling away La Palm, Labadi Beach. Labadi Beach. This I go 22 last year in March. They gave government 10 million Ghana cedis in dividends. By November, that was for the 2021 financial year. By November, they gave government an unprecedented 25 million Ghana cedis in dividends from the 2022 financial year. We haven't seen the 2023 one yet. It hasn't come through yet. Is this the kind of institution, one of the few government institutions that is actually giving government money? 35 million Ghana cedis in a short space of time. Imagine how many schools that could have built. We are giving 60% of that to a party apparatchik, a serving minister. If conflict of interest is not even creating an issue with those thinking about this, think about the fact that we're going to be losing at least 35 million. So it doesn't add up. The stories they give don't add up. They should go back and rethink. Even if they want to, you don't need to sell the assets. I am fully aware that some of the bits they got were not outright sale, but management or lease. So we still own the assets fully. You get somebody who can manage it better to manage it. But look at Labadi Beach Hotel that has hosted royalty from the UK. The essence of it, set up in 1987 and over the years, was to ensure that we have hotels that can attract foreign visitors, tourism here. We were just celebrating $4 billion receipt through tourism last week. And we are divesting of these to the private sector. I know government's focus should be on governance, but where the private sector hasn't got the capability to deliver those kind of 5-star hotels, it's on par. Labadi, La Palme, how many of their peers do you have here? You know, you have to have heavy lifters to do that. We shouldn't be selling this anytime soon. So this is purely another attempt by this government to divert cash cows into their pockets on their way out, and it must be stopped in its tracks, come hell or high water, at all cost.
I think 28 will be next week.
Yes.
So you are leaving next week.
Unfortunately.
Okay. So can I get you to commit to at least passing through once before you go?
Absolutely. It will be my pleasure.
Fantastic. Because I would like us to discuss the SML matter in a bit more detail. It's something that a lot of people don't really get.
Yeah.
How revenue assurance is supposed to work, and how come the SML doesn't sound so tenable for a lot of people. It would be nice to have you in studio.
No problem, sir. Thank you very much.
But I've always wondered, how did you end up in the UK?
I went there as a student.
Okay.
And then I decided to improve my professional NUM by practicing with PwC for a while. Okay. And we all always said, I've got 10 years to go home. And then 10 years later, I've got my wife and kids, and I'm thinking I don't want to deny my kids the opportunity. But of course, home is always home. And even the birds that fly.
So the original plan was to come home after 10 years?
After 10 years. That 10 years expired 5 years ago.
Oh, you're 15 now, 15 years now. So you went to school. Say, well, I want to practice more. 10 years, I'll go home.
You see, because you don't want to go and read and come home theorizing like my brother, the vice president. You want to get some tangible experience so that when you come, you speak out of experience and not speak out of book theory. You know, and so you enjoy the practice, but you always have it at the back of your mind. Is for the good of your country. You will have to go home one day and join the effort to take your country to where it needs to be. That's the essence of it all. It's not enough that you are better off if your village. There's no point building a mansion in your village when there are no roads. There's no water there. You will be forced to bring that water.
Can you survive in this economy? Because there are many people who just come in, try. It's like dipping your feet in the water for a moment to see how maybe the temperature of the water, and then they run back out. They say, no, you can't survive within this.
You see, even people survive in the Sahara Desert. But the thing is, I will not be thinking of just surviving. I will be thinking of making the change. Because if you come in and it's difficult and you don't like it, put your hands on that till, push. And this is what all of us as youth, we shouldn't accept our circumstances and give up. We must force ourselves to make the change that we need to make. If it means speaking truth to the people in government, if it means hitting the streets to demonstrate peacefully, if it means using the power of the tongue to change, keep changing government till you get what you want. We shouldn't settle for less. If you settle for less, you get nothing. We must believe that our country can be like Singapore. It can be like Malaysia. It can be like South Korea. We got independence the same year as South Korea. The difference between where we are and where they are is they are focused on excellence and delivery. If you don't deliver, you are out. That is what we must do. If my own NDC does not deliver, I should be comfortable that we should be put on the backbench so that the next party should deliver. But I know my NDC always delivers from 92, and we must come back and finish the unfinished business.
Once again, nice to have you in studio.
Thank you very much.
So I'll have him again over before he leaves, because we don't know when he'll return again.
You see.
So
I'll be back in November.
Oh, okay. Oh, have you registered already?
Yes.
You registered already?
Yes.
You have your voter's ID?
I will be back, yes.
Fantastic. Are you voting in Accra, or you are going all the way back?
My royal village.
Oh, you've gone all the way to... Is it the Bogatanga or
in Wachere?
Okay. Oh, I see.
You see.
Okay.
Accra is choked. We the villagers have to go so that the prices also reduce. Less demand and more supply will bring prices down.
Well, if I don't do this, I guess you will forgive me. Chief Malik sent a message. Says, so, I say, how are you and the young chairman? I never knew you were a young chairman in your studios. Tell him more fire. That he's watching and listening to you live from his base in, is it Bermondsey, Jamaica Road, London.
Chief of Jamaica Road. I salute him.
He's the chief of Jamaica Road.
Yes.
I see. But there are a lot of messages coming from your members to Enuchu. Says a great interview. Adam Sunu, Chairman CONRAD is always on point. There's NDC Warsaw Branch UK, Patrick Ayaba. There's Francis Chumesi Odum. It says, well done, Chairman CONRAD, for deep understanding of the topics and the discussion. Abakar Abdul Razak is watching us the show live. Okay, he's watching from Dunkon Film. Says, keep it up. Yazamina Ismail joining us. Says, Patrick, I am by again chairman of Point 2. There's Victor Thompson who's quoting, a policy without implementation is a mere slogan. Peace. Isabella Donani says, more fire. My able chairman CONRAD, educate them. There's Kofi Ira who says, a good morning to you. And then Henry Bekoli who says, give it to them, my chairman general. So there are many comments that were sent whilst we were here, including from Becky Stone, Auntie Becky, who says, keep flying the flags high. These are the people Ghana need. Indeed, NDC, we have the real men and women proud to be part of your team. Radio Gold 905 FM still on here. Nice to have you.
Thank you,
nice
sir.
to have you. So we'll have him back next week before he leaves Ghana. In the meantime, the people who do the quiz are coming in. Please, if you are watching on Radio Gold, and I won't even say the page again. How can you be watching on the page and not know the name of the page? I was so disappointed in you, Bright. But anyway, let's try today and see.
Yeah, it's no Zika, baby.